Your debt in total, $210,000. That's a mortgage.
Hi, my name is Sierra. I am 18 and I am over $500,000 in debt.
Credit card number 1. Current balance is $7,513. Credit card number 2 is $8,912.74. Credit card number 3. The current balance is $10,229.91.
Hi there. Let's talk about this number right here. This is how much debt I have.
I can go to Target and spend $600 and then I could take it all home and regret all of it.
Then return it.
But I don't.
Your debt in total, $210,000. That's a mortgage. And these are like 8, 15, 5, balloon percentages.
Yeah.
This is insane. And you don't think this is that bad? You don't think that number is that bad?
The number sounds bad, but
Since you're not willing to say it, I need her to know behind me. This is bad. This is scary. And not all of it's bankruptable either. There's a lot of student loans in here that worst comes to worst, will not be bankruptable.
bankruptcy.
Is what everyone says who goes bankrupt. So, any final thoughts? Any final questions?
No, I mean, thank you for taking the time to go through this. I know it's kind of aggravating, frustrating with all the paper and whatnot, a little bit of lack of clarity. I thought I was coming here with a lot of clarity, but as far as the situation, but I guess wasn't the case. But like I said, I appreciate you taking the time to sit with me.
Well, being a crazy Monday episode, as usual. Unfortunately, with what we're just given here, it cannot be higher than a 0 out of 10. So, Hammer Financial score is 0 out of 10.
And so this is a reoccurring problem across America. People are in crazy amounts of debt, crippling amounts of debt even, and it causes them to live their lives in incredible amounts of stress and disarray. I think that people need to focus on lowering their expenses, making sure they're not reverting to the credit card whenever they can't afford something, and making sure that they handle their priorities first, being financial literacy and making moves that are in alignment with proper investing instead of spending tons of money on liabilities. Now, something that I've noticed across all of these videos, a very large portion of the debt that many of these individuals are in have to do with student loans. And I've always been a key supporter of people going to college for a major that will make them money for this exact reason. If you have tons of student loans, which most people will have once they get out of school, it behooves you to get into an industry that makes enough money such that you are able to either pay those loans off or at least maintain yourself financially whilst making those payments.
Hi, my name is Sierra. I am 18 and I am over $500,000 in debt. So come cook dinner with me and clean my kitchen while I talk about how I got here. Okay, so we're gonna be making the trashiest Midwestern dinner, tater tot hot dish for my boyfriend because he won't eat the healthy food I ate. Okay, so let's talk about the first thing that got me started off having any debt in the first place. This year in May, I think it was, right before the summer, I purchased my dream car. And a little backstory actually first. So I've been working full-time since I was a sophomore in high school. So I did not go to school. I worked full-time and did online school while I was working. So I've been making a full-time income as a manager of a spa the whole time. So I was able to be in this position. A little bit of a side story for that. So with that being said, I ended up buying a 2025 Honda CR-V hybrid at the beginning of this year. And I will insert a picture of it here so you can kind of get an idea what it looks like. It would not let me insert a picture, so here's her right now. Don't mind the dirt. She doesn't get a car wash ever, but... And now I'm going to be completely transparent because that's why you're watching and I love when other people are. So I ended up paying, I think it was $49,000 after everything for that. So it was around $49,000. I don't remember what my down payment was, but I now owe, I think, like $23,000, $22,000 on it. And my goal is to pay it off in the next few months, or at least by the next year it has to be paid off. So that is where the first amount of debt comes from, and that will hopefully be paid off soon, but that's why I'm making this, to hold myself accountable and to make sure that it gets paid off. And I love watching these. Caleb guy has been all over my For You page, so it inspired me just to be transparent because everyone's life looks great, but it's really a bunch of debt. So forgot to video me scooping this in, but that is the debt for my car. So that is a small percentage of the $500,000 that I claimed. So the other big portion is going to come from this house. We just moved in and closed November 1st. So with that being said, I bought the house with my longtime boyfriend, so it is not on me, it is both of our loan. So the house, not that I wanted to share this information, but I guess we're being transparent. The house, after we put our down payment down and paid all the fees and whatever, it came out to $503 is what the loan amount was for. So we have a $500,000 loan under us for that, which we have a 30-year loan for that, and my goal is to get that paid off as fast as possible. So hopefully not in 30 years. If so, this is gonna be a long series I'm making for 30 years to pay off my house loan. And so with that being aired out now, that is the debt I'm dealing with and working on paying off. I am making a goal to post about it and be transparent about it, because I feel like it's extremely realistic and it's hard for other people to put themselves in, compare themselves to other people when it's literally all just sponge debt. Everyone is just in a ton of debt. And if you're not, congratulations, but the rest of us are. So this is just me personally, what debt I have and what I'm working through. A lot of people wouldn't count their house as debt, I feel like, whenever anyone talks about it, but it is in fact debt. So follow if you want to see more of my debt payoff journey, as well as budgeting tips, tricks, and all of my little schemes that have got me where I am. And to everyone who's going to judge me for this, I don't care.
Foolishness. Just a bunch of foolishness. Why in the world would you get your dream car at such a young age? And having a Honda as a dream car is interesting. But why would you do that? You spent almost $50,000 on a car that you really can't afford. You went into debt on a vehicle, which is one of the greatest liabilities that any person could ever have. It only depreciates with time. And so now you're worried about paying off of this crazy car note that you probably have. I think it's great that you've been able to pay off so much, and it seems such a little period of time. However, that doesn't change the fact that that's not a financial decision you should have made in the first place. In addition to that, it seems that she has purchased too much home. She has far too much of house in order for her to live comfortably financially. What she has is a home that cost $500,000 because the lender gave her $500,000. The same mistake that I've spoken about people making constantly, buying a home for the amount that the lender gives you instead of buying a home given the lifestyle that you have, and then they end up in ridiculous amounts of debt unnecessarily. I just think that it's crazy that some people go into this much debt by way of their own volition. There are individuals out there that go into debt because the economy is doing bad, they can't really afford anything, and so it necessitates them to use credit cards. But to go into this amount of debt when you don't have to, it's just crazy. And she's right when she's talking about people on social media flexing and trying to act like they have a whole bunch of things that they don't really have. In reality, most people are in debt. Most people do not own the things that they are showing off online outright. Most people put those things on credit cards, are still paying on them, have high interest rates, and they're living in debt that is above their eyeballs.
I'm exposing my debt so you can feel better about your debt. Let's do this. My husband and I are in a lot of debt, and we're finally in a season where we can start to pay that debt off a little more aggressively than just making the minimum monthly payments. And I decided to document our journey to being debt-free. The debt that I'm going to start out with is a debt that I don't have the exact specific numbers for just yet, just because we're working on refinancing a couple of things and that's going to take some time. That being said, I can estimate that we have over $100,000 worth of student loans and personal loans. And I can get into more of the why behind the personal loans, but maybe I'll save that for another video. Before you watch the rest of this video, if you think you have more debt than me, hit the like button. Let's move on to our credit card debt, which is really our priority right now. Gotta take a sip before this. As of today, we have 6 credit credit cards. We're just gonna name them credit card 1, credit card 2, credit card 3, etc. I'm also not gonna go into the why behind this credit card debt right now. I can do that in another video, and if you're curious about it, I would love to share some of those stories. We all have stories where hardships hit and we had to do what we could to survive. Credit card number 1. Current balance is $7,513. Credit card number 2 is $8,912.74. Credit card number 3, the current balance is $10,229.91. Credit card 4, the balance is $10,317.05. Credit card number 5, current balance is $11,812.86. And I saved the best for last. Or maybe the most tragic. Credit card number 6, current balance is $16,582.43. Our current running balance of credit card debt is $63,227. We are going all in and being extremely aggressive on how much we are paying per month. Credit card debt is very stressful. There's a lot of shame around it and it can feel really isolating. But I don't look at this number with fear anymore. If you have debt that you're afraid to face, I really encourage you to face it. Stare at it until it doesn't scare you anymore, because it's just a number. I take this debt really seriously, and my husband and I take full responsibility and accountability for every single dollar of this debt. It doesn't matter the reason that we're in it. Everybody has a story and reasons behind their debt, and we shouldn't judge anyone. I certainly don't. So here it is, $63,000 in credit card debt, and this is where it all begins. And I'm terrified and also excited to be documenting and sharing this journey with anyone who wants to watch. If you were at all shocked by this number, I'd love to hear from you. Leave me a comment, like this video, and I'm excited to share a progress video with you all very soon.
63,000? Woo! But this is an example of somebody handling debt responsibly and is placing it as priority number 1 in their lives to pay off and take care of, instead of acting like it doesn't exist. Many people go around trying to act as if their debt means nothing, trying to act as if their debt isn't there, trying to act as if their debt will simply go away on its own. And that's not how things work. If you are not consistently paying on your debt, if you're not consistently giving your debt time and attention, it will grow, it will foster, it will become bigger than what it currently is, and it will become an even greater weight on your shoulders. This is why it's important to make sure you and your significant other, her husband in this case, or boyfriend, whatever, are on the same page. Because if you're not, then you'll have a case where you're trying to pay off your debt and they're accruing more of it. Do you know how stressful that could be? Imagine being with someone who is in debt, whilst being in debt yourself, trying to pay off the debt, and as you are, they're just adding and stacking more debt on top. That's crazy. But these are the things that you have to look out for. And thankfully enough, it seems like that lady decided to make sure she got a man who wouldn't do something like that, such that they both prioritize their debt and are handling it now that they're in it. Because, like she said, there are many reasons for why somebody can get in debt. It's not always due to irresponsibility, but oftentimes it is.
I can go to Target and spend $600 and then I could take it all home and regret all of it,
Then return it.
but I don't.
Okay.
So then I'm negative $600 for going to Target.
And how much is this loan that you took out that he doesn't know? $6,000. Almost what you bring in after taxes and everything on a monthly basis. Immediately, a month has to go to that. How much was this vacation? You took out $6,000?
No, the vacation was $4,000.
What kind of lifestyle are you guys living?
Champagne taste on a beer budget. It seems like we kind of spend when we want to spend.
What goals do we have for you guys, for the kids? Where are we trying to be? Looking 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road, 20 years down the road. What are we trying to do? Because right now we're just living for fun in the moment. What are we trying to do? Do we have any combined goal?
I don't think we have goals together. I want a house in Palm Beach by 40. And
Are you going to be able to move?
No, I want a second home.
No, she wants a second home. which is ridiculous.
And this is exactly what I was talking about. Just in the previous video, I spoke on how important it is to choose a significant other that is on the same page as you regarding debt. This is a prime example of what happens when you do not achieve that. You have one person who's focused on spending $600 in Target trips and taking out $6,000 loans that her man isn't even aware of. And then she wants to talk about getting a home in Palm Beach, making sure you get a second home. How are you going to make sure you get a second home when you could barely afford the debt that you have right now? But this is what happens when you get with an airhead as a man. Imagine being a man who is financially responsible. I don't know if he is, because if he was, he would know better than to get with a woman like that. But imagine being a man that is financially responsible, and then you go on to get with a woman who only acts as a financial burden to you. That is somebody who drains from you. That is somebody who takes away from you. That's someone that takes your light away from you. And given that all of those things are now in play in your relationship, it will not only cause your relationship to tear apart, but it will cause financial strain on your life that doesn't have to be there. So these things need to be talked about more. There needs to be more light spread on financial literacy, but also on better decision making in terms of the women or men that you choose to have inside of your lives, because that could be what makes or breaks your finances.
I don't know, maybe I have the wrong idea about it. Y'all keep saying debt this, debt that, save this, save that. The whole thing is like, I don't know. Maybe it's me, maybe it's my personal experience. I just known too many people that didn't even make it to 30, literally. So like, I'm not saying I shouldn't save for the future. I shouldn't have a retirement plan. I shouldn't put up 401, all this other shit. That's nice. Great. Nice. But the thing is, like, you need to live life now, I feel like, personally. I'm never going to get this time back. I'm never going to get these years back. I'm never going to get this year back. So y'all could save up for a vacation that might take me 5 years to save up for. And then what happens when I get to that 5-year mark and I can no longer do it? Things are way more expensive. So that's just out of the question. We got some type of crazy ass ban where we can't leave the country, or I just not in a physical shape or mental shape to even be able to travel. I don't know. Maybe it's me. Maybe I'm irresponsible as fuck. I have no clue. I just know that if I can make a way to make shit happen, I'm gonna make it happen. And to me, experiences are more important than any of this material shit and saving up, retirement funds, all this extra shit. I just don't care about that right now. I'm sorry, I don't. Like, saving, yeah, cool, fine, dandy. But like, for me personally, I feel like this country's already just going to shit as is, and it's like crazy expensive to live here. So like, for me, I know y'all saying like, oh, you need to save up, expenses, bills, emergency funds, all this stuff, 401k, you want to retire, you want to pay down your debts. I don't give a shit. I'll change my name and move out the country, and y'all will never see me again. I don't know. Maybe I'm irresponsible. Maybe I don't think clearly. I don't know, y'all. I can't even think straight. I need a trip so damn bad I can't even think straight.
Sister, don't fall for the trap. Don't go, please. Don't fall. Don't fall. I understand the desire to want to enjoy your money. There's nothing wrong with that. The problem lies in enjoying your money at the expense of good financial decision making. When you have somebody who is willing to say they don't care about saving, they don't care about investing, they don't care about doing their 401k, all this is you setting yourself up for financial failure in the future. And so I understand that the country has problems. I understand that you want to cope with the fact that it seems like everything is going to shit. But that does not justify you putting yourself in an even worse position than you're already in. Let's say you don't save. Let's say you don't invest. Let's say you don't have money to pull from assets and resources. What happens? You go outside, you get bit by a damn dog, and now both your butt cheeks missing. What happens then? You gotta pay those hospital bills. You gotta make sure that you're able to pay for funeral expenses if somebody dies in your family. You have to make sure that you're able to pay if you get in a car accident. All of these things are life situations that occur that you have to save for. And you can't allow your insatiable desire to engage in luxury and leisure to inhibit your capacity to look out for yourself financially. It just doesn't work that way.
Hi there. Let's talk about this number right here. This is how much debt I have. I'm about $180,000 in debt from both federal and private student loans, my car loan, credit cards. That is all of my debt. I am 24 years old. I have a bachelor degree, so not even a master's. I have one minor, no focus in my major, as well as an honors degree, which did require some extra credits. So that is where this number is coming from. This is on top of the little amount of scholarships that I was awarded, so money I didn't have to pay back. This is everything I owe. Everything I owe. I came out of college in June of 2024, and I did not look at the debt that I was accruing. I took out loans as I needed them each year for college, and I didn't really think about what the percentages meant because I was never taught financial literacy. I didn't think about what the realistic number was going to be that I would have to owe each month on these loans, and they are astronomical, I will say. Sally Mae, which is my private loan creditor, wants $1,800 a month from me. That's just Sally Mae. I am right now in a grace period for 12 months where I only have to pay $1,033 to Sally Mae. I would not be able to afford the $1,800 a month if I wasn't able to get it down for 12 months. I don't know what I'm going to do in 11 months, but this is just me talking about it. On top of that, I owe about $287 to the federal government per month. That's not changing. And I owe $202 for my car payment, and that's not even including the $150 or $60 that I owe each month for the car insurance or my credit card payments. That doesn't include any of that. So, alone, Sally Mae wants $1,800 from me. I graduated college, as I just mentioned, in June of 2024, so this last year, and I wanted to just have a nice summer because I have been doing school for the last 5 years, and I've been taking summer courses full-time every year, and as well as working full-time. So this is also, like, the debt I have, and I was working full-time during the summers, and I was working part-time during the school years, so that's all, like, I still had no money, like, and I had to take out loans. So, being 23 years old, almost 24 when I graduated, I decided that I was just going to get a part-time job so that way I could only work part-time during the summer and kind of enjoy the summer because I had been doing over full-time in schools and working and had a role in my sorority, and I decided that I was just going to work part-time. And if I had looked at my loans fresh out of college, which I highly recommend you do if you have loans, do not wait until they are due to start looking at them. I decided to do that and made barely any money, but I didn't have any loan payments at the time during the summer. And I wish that I had started making the payments as soon as possible on those loans while I had them. So I worked part-time. Around November, my best friend was like, hey, I have loans. You have loans. Have you looked at what your loan payments are going to be? And I was like, shh, can't be that bad, right? Wrong. I looked at my loan payments and I cried. Because I was not taught financial literacy. And I didn't understand how a credit company for student loans could charge me $1,800 if I wasn't making that much. I thought, okay, there must be something similar to the federal aid where you can do it based on income. No, they don't offer that. So I would also look into that before you take out student loans if they're going to offer income based or anything. They don't offer that. The best I could do was bring it down to $1,000. And then I was struggling to find a full-time job. I applied for like 3 months to over probably 500 jobs before I finally found one. This is the catch, that doesn't even require my degree. I found a job that paid $20 an hour, 40 hours a week, and it was degree recommended, not required. So I felt very grateful for that opportunity. I just don't understand why companies and jobs want you to have stepping stones but don't consider your degree to be the stepping stones or the foundation for working for those companies, and they want to pay less money for more years of experience. It doesn't make sense. It's really hard to find a job right now, like really, really hard. Anyway, flash forward, I'm doing this and I'm able to make my bare minimum payments, but that doesn't matter because in 12 months, I'm still going to owe $1,800 bare minimum on the Sally Mae loans, and I cannot afford that. And I make $41,600 a year before taxes. Now, flash forward, I'm at this job for a couple months and I start to struggle really badly with my mental health. I'm talking like can't get out of bed except to go to work, really struggling, losing passion for everything, falling into a mix of I would say seasonal depression because it's winter and I struggle with that a lot, and also depression because my life is not going the way that I want it to go. And that is a hard thing to grasp. And also debt is really hard. It's a hard thing, and like a lot of people struggle with it. So it's not just me coming on here. Like I'm very grateful and I am privileged, and there's a lot of things that are going well in my life, but like that debt is still looming over my head, and that is a real thing. I decided that this job was not worth staying at any longer because of how much it was impacting my mental health. I was crashing out all the time, and I really tried to stick it out, but I was just really starting to see no purpose in my life, even though it was helping me make those bare minimum payments. I have since put in my 2 weeks, and I'm going back to 2 part-time jobs that I've calculated out will make the same amount of money I make at this full-time job that I supposedly got with my degree. So I'm still going to make $41,600 and be able to make my bare minimum payments. But I am really worried about what I'm going to do in 11 months when I have to owe $1,800 just on Sallie Mae. I am putting this out there as like kind of a way to warn people about looking into what your loans look like. Teach yourself financial literacy, but I'm also putting this out there to ask what's the best case scenario? I don't really know what to do, and I've been trying to do research. I don't want to get sued by Sallie Mae. It's hard to find a job. I don't really want people coming out here being like, well, just go find a higher paying job. You were silly to drop down to 2 part-time jobs. That is not the advice I'm looking for. I'm looking for a best way to knock out my loans and start paying them off faster with what I have. I'm making the bare minimum payments and a little bit more, and that's basically all of my income, and I'm looking for other ways to make extra money. So if I have to start door dashing as well, I'm going to go back to a job where I'll also be making tips. All of that's going to go towards it. What is the best way? Should I attack the ones that are high interest first? Should I go after the ones that are the smallest? Like, I'm genuinely curious, best way to knock out these loans, because I'm trying to be debt free. There was a time in my life where all I wanted was to make a ton of money. I don't care. Financial freedom to me looks like being debt free. I would love, and I'm not saying this is possible, but I don't think it's impossible either. I would love to be out of debt by the time I'm 30. That's 6 years from now. I have a lot of debt. I don't know how possible that is, but I would have to put all my money towards it. I've not made good financial choices. Like, I'm literally going on a trip in April. Like, I'm not saying that I'm perfect or that, but that's aside the case. That is aside the case. The point is, I can make the bare minimum right now, and I know that I could make more if I need to. Despite going on this trip in April, we don't need to talk about that. I'm still making choices, but I want to find out a way that I can get out of debt. I'm trying to find all these extra ways to make money. I'm going to keep probably eventually in the future apply to jobs, but it's just, this is the reality of it. It's just like, it's not like I'm magically going to make more money to pay off this debt. I am where I'm at. So I don't know. I'm looking for help, and I'm also trying to give some advice, but you should really educate yourself on financial literacy before you decide to take out loans. And if you have the opportunity to go to community college before going to a university, I would highly recommend doing that to save yourself as much money as possible. Because at the end of the day, as fun as the memories were, and I'm so grateful for my friends and the people I met, and they are obviously priceless. Knowing what I know now, I don't know if I would ever put myself in that position to let myself get into $180,000 worth of debt over school. So, my credit's also shit, by the way, because of all the loans I've had to take out. So, that is my story. And yeah, I just kind of came here to talk about it. I feel like it's important to talk about, and a lot of times I think we're kind of ashamed of it, but that's really it.
No, you better hop on OnlyFans and do something strange for some change. You better do something strange for some change. But in reality, this is what happens when you're not educated about your finances, about loans, about debt. And I think that it is a shame that there are so many people who go to college and decide to get into all of this debt without understanding the implications behind the debt that they will now receive. This is why I've said in previous videos and in this video, and I'll say it again, and I'll keep on saying it. It is important that you choose a major that will allow you to sustain yourself financially whilst paying off those loans. Because if you do not, then you will have a burden on your back that is so great that that you will be going through, as she said, depression. And the amount of mental strife, the amount of emotional strife, the amount of psychological damage that it could do to somebody to have to constantly go from job to job to job, thinking to yourself during this interview process, if I don't get this interview, if I don't get this job, I'm not going to be able to pay off this debt. I got $800 debt payments that I got to make this month, and I'm about to go broke. Oh my God. These are the kinds of things that will absolutely destroy you as a person if you do not get a handle on them. College is not about your passion. College is not about your experience. College is about getting a return on investment financially such that you can sustain yourself. I can guarantee you that she didn't get a degree in something that will guard her financially. And that is why she is stuck making $40,000 a year whilst being a person that is college educated, because the college degree that you got ain't useful for nothing but toilet paper. And she brought up the very valuable point about community college. Community college is an option that I think everyone should explore, especially in terms of getting rid of those gen ed courses that your first few years in college you'll be taking. They're completely unnecessary, generally speaking, and so that is a lot of debt that you will not have to accrue if you decide to make the decision to go to a college right around the block. But to offer a solution to what she's saying, it's quite simple. And I don't care if you don't like it. I don't care if you want to hear it. You have to improve your skill set such that you're making more money, and you have to lower your expenses such that you're spending less money. That's the only way that you're going to get out of this financial hardship. I believe that you'll be able to pay off your debt by age 30. Maybe a little later, but I think age 30 is reasonable if you decide to improve your skills and lower your expenses. But going on a damn trip in April trying to shake your tail is not what's going to do you any good in a situation like this. You just got done saying how in a few months you're going to end up having to pay $1,800 a month to get Sally Mae off your back, and in the same sentence you fixed your mouth to say that you about to go on a trip. There better be a rich man on that trip paying you to do something funny, honey. Because the way you talking, you acting like this debt is just going to disappear on its own. So these are some of the major issues that us in American society have. Not only do we have the capitalist system, the economy, these corporate conglomerates that really reign over us as a population, but we also have a mixture of people who are making terrible financial decisions, and then will sit there and blame other people when in reality they can do a whole lot more to progress themselves by themselves. So yes, the economy is terrible. Yes, the job market is horrific. Yes, there are many things that are happening that you cannot control in any regard, and we need to make sure that we are fighting for a more equitable society. However, what can you do in your personal life that will also impact positive change for you? And I think in finding that answer, you will be able to live a more stress-free life and not have to worry so much about money problems as a whole. But what do you guys think about this video? I just wanted to shed more light on debt. This is a conversation that we're going to continue to have because there's numerous people out here that apparently need help that would do well by listening to advice that is giving them a bird's eye view of the situation that they're in that they feel is impossible to get out of. But thank you for tuning into this video. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe if you would like to see more. And I will see you in the next one.